In the past 6 years, Israel and Hamas have fought 3 wars in the Gaza Strip. The latest conflict killed over 70 Israelis and more than 2,000 Palestinians. But the 50-day conflict that ended in late August has also taken a toll on those who survived.
War-weary Gazans suffer from extensive psychological trauma in addition to the physical devastation the conflict has left behind. VOA's Sharon Behn has seen the destruction firsthand. Here, she shares her impressions. Sharon, you were in Gaza for 5 days. What struck you most about your time there?
There's actually quite a bit that struck me. One was walking into Gaza itself. You go through a long tunnel. You go through no man's land. You actually walk through no man's land. It's very restricted. It's very hard to get in. There's the Israelis control all the border crossings except for the ones down by Egypt. So I guess that was the first thing that struck me, was how isolated it is, that people can't leave and people can't go in. It's very, very controlled. And then I traveled to the areas that had been hit during the war, the 50-day war, and there were hundreds of thousands of homes that were hit, and thousands were absolutely destroyed, flattened, completely flattened.
Mohammed El-Shimberi's house was bombed in the recent war that flattened thousands of homes in Gaza. His family fled just in time. He says nothing has been done to rebuild, and the only solution is to stop the conflict.
If you want to help us, be on our side. End the Israeli occupation, because we cannot afford all these wars. This is the 3rd house of mine that was destroyed by the Israeli.
So the title of your piece begs the question, reconstruction, what reconstruction? Why is the rebuilding necessary not happening?
Yeah, it's a tough one. First you got to imagine some of these houses a lot were just houses that were flattened. They're made out of concrete. And some were towers, like apartment towers. They're absolutely flattened. And there is no concrete to rebuild. They recycle some of this concrete, but you need money for that. There's a huge unemployment rate. Not everybody has the money for it. So they can't rebuild. And then material like cement is considered by the Israelis, the official that I spoke to, said, well, cement can be a dual use material. It can be used to build tunnels. It can be used for offensive reasons against Israel. So they want to inspect it. They want to make sure that everything coming in is not going to be used in the end against Israel. But I spoke to the UN, and the UN is involved in the reconstruction process. And what they said was that they would need 900 trucks a day coming into Gaza in order to be able to rebuild it and put it all back together in 2 years. They're only getting 3 trucks a day right now. So it's going to be a very slow process.
Your story on the reconstruction, it got a comment on our website that I want to highlight because I think it represents a viewpoint that many people have. It states that, quote, as long as Gazans support Hamas, their lives will be miserable. How would you respond to that assessment?
The Israelis feel that Hamas is a militant group. Hamas has, stated that it's against Israel. So, and they're very active. They're strong, but not everyone in Gaza supports Hamas. There are those who actually support a different way out of this situation. They don't think that militancy and bombings are the way to go. So, in the end, I think what happens is a lot of the civilians in Gaza get caught in the crossfire. Yes, you have a militant group. Yes, that they have been in this war and it is conflict, but there are a lot of people there who just don't support them. They just want to have a normal life, and they're exhausted. There is definitely a feeling of just exhaustion.
When you talk to officials on both sides of the divide, what's your sense of the major issues of this conflict, and when, if ever, will we see it resolved?
What the Israelis were telling me was that, look, you have a militant group. They're attacking us, and we have the right to defend ourselves. So, for example, even fishing limits. There are fishing limits to, the fishermen can't go any further than, right now, roughly 6 nautical miles. And they're asking for a seaport. The Gazans want a seaport. But, the Israelis are saying, all of this can be used to attack us. Why would we allow or even encourage the building of this if we're going to get attacked? So in the end, it has to be a resolution between Hamas and Israel and al-Fatah on the West Bank. There has to be a political resolution, but we've been waiting for that for years.
And the wait continues, but there is some good news for Gaza. More than $5 billion in donations have come in internationally for reconstruction in the region, and that is more than expected, with some anticipating donors might be Gaza war weary as well.